Good morning, church family. Pastor Travis here, and today I have a devotion for you. Actually, I've come by to check your attitude. You're probably thinking, checking my attitude? Yes, during this 21 days of prayer and fasting, I want to make sure that you have a right attitude. And what I mean by that is I want to make sure that your attitude isn't one that is boasting. You're not going around and upping everyone and letting them know how much you're fasting or what you're doing and comparing your fast to their fast. That's certainly not what fasting is about. And I also want to make sure that you're not the complainer. The one that every time we see you're complaining about how difficult the fast is, how hungry you are. And yes, I know day 5, a lot of us are hangry and it's starting to set in. But I came by to give you some encouragement on what the Bible says about our attitude, especially during this time of fasting. Because fasting should not be for show. It's not for proof of spirituality. How long or how often that you fast rarely should be mentioned to anyone according to the Bible. Neither should anyone notice that you are fasting due to your appearance. It should not show on your face. Because Jesus gave us clear instruction of this in the book of Matthew. Chapter 6, verses 16 through 18 reads, "And when you fast, don't make it obvious, as the hypocrites do, for they try to look miserable and disheveled, so people will admire them for their fasting. I tell you the truth, that this is only reward they will ever get. But when you fast, comb your hair and wash your face. Then no one will notice that you are fasting, except your Father, who knows what you do in private. And your Father, who sees everything, will reward you." So what we should do, church, is we should get up, we should wash our face, we should comb our hair, and we should appear normal to our colleagues and our co-workers and our family. It shouldn't be that since we're fasting, we should take on this different persona or different personality or different look. Yes, it might be difficult to do the fasting and deprive our bodies from the food and things that we normally do have, but we should not let it show through our personal appearance in doing so. Because only God should know that we are fasting. And I know on certain occasions there's time where multiple people come together and fast, so keeping it a secret from everyone may be difficult if you have a prayer partner or someone that is doing this fast with you, and you guys are both praying for the same outcome. But we should always remember that Jesus says in Luke 14:11, "For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." So fasting should be more than just simply hunger and thirst, depriving ourselves of that. It should help us see past the physical to the spiritual principles. As a Christian, the Bible says that we must not live by bread alone. Matthew 4:4 reads, "People do not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." So this time of fasting shouldn't be one where we focus on the physical aspect of fasting and what we're giving up to our bodies, but the time where we can dig deeper into the spiritual, get closer to God, spend more time reading the Word, spend more time in prayer. That's what we need to do, because fasting is a test. It's a test to see if you will put your hunger and your thirst, which is the lust of your flesh, or if you're going to humble your heartfelt desire to obey and submit yourself before God and draw closer to Him in every way. Let's make sure as well that we understand that we're not just making this sacrifice to receive something back from God. But what we need to do is say, "God, I am willing to sacrifice and spend extra time in prayer for this concern that I have. It means this much to me, God, and I need you to hear me, because fasting takes humbleness." So when we fast, we should do this with God in mind, for His pleasure, not our pleasure. Just as food satisfies us, fasting satisfies God. Because we are saying to Him, "Lord, this is my cry of my soul, for you is greater than the cry of my stomach or anything else." And that's why fasting gets God's attention unlike anything else. According to Isaiah 58:4, the purpose of fasting is to make your voice heard up high. So when we fast with the proper motivation behind us, our voice is heard in heaven. This is why we come into God's presence in a powerful way during these times of fasting. And it's also a humbling experience to us. A humbling experience to say no to something that you crave. To say no to something that you feel that you can't live every day without. But instead of falling into that temptation and that crave, you're bowing down to God and admitting that you need Him first and foremost in your life. So fasting demands humility, and humility means self-denial. So line up your attitudes during this time of fasting and your thoughts and put God in mind. Check your motivation behind it. Is your focus on what you can gain during this fast? Or is your focus on God and His pleasure? Are you seeking to understand and know the heart of God during these 21 days? I hope during this devotion you had an opportunity to reflect on your attitude and make sure it's where it needs to be. And I'm praying and believing that God's going to do some miraculous things during this fast. Be blessed.